I stared at my phone in disbelief, replaying that furious voicemail for the third time just to make sure I wasn't actually losing my mind. "This is Melissa!" The voice screeched, brittle and shrill. "I can't believe you'd abandon a family member like this. Karen told me everything was arranged. I had to book a hotel because of you, and trust me, you will be paying for it. Expect to hear from my lawyer." Yeah, that's how my day started, so buckle up. Now let me back up a sec, because honestly at that moment I had no clue who the hell Melissa even was. I've never met a Melissa in my life. I definitely hadn't promised to host any long-lost cousins or friends of friends, and the only Karen I knew was my HOA president, which, spoiler alert, should have set off every alarm bell in my head right then and there. But the universe wasn't done with me. Before I could even start untangling this circus, my phone dinged with a fresh email. I swiped it open, and my stomach just bottomed out. There it was, a $600 charge slapped on my credit card from Lakeside Resort and Spa. I scanned the receipt. The guest Melissa Winters booked under the name Gregory Patterson. That's me. Except I'd never authorized this. I'd never even heard of Melissa Winters until she came roaring into my voicemail like a tornado. So if you think your week is off to a rough start, trust me, mine's got yours beat. And the real kicker: this whole bizarre nightmare started 3 weeks earlier when I moved into Willow Creek Estates, one of those perfect suburban neighborhoods you see in real estate brochures. Secure, serene, exclusive. The agent actually used all 3 words like it was a magic spell. She never mentioned the real power in this little kingdom, the homeowners association run by a woman who called herself Karen. And honestly, I don't think I've ever met a more perfectly named human being. The morning after I moved in, I met her. She marched up my driveway, clipboard in hand, sporting a highlighter yellow slip of paper, and the posture of someone who'd been waiting all week to catch someone slipping. "Your garbage can is visible from the street," she said. Smile so tight it looked like it hurt. "That's a violation of Section 4.3. I mumbled an apology, dragged the can behind the fence, and honestly thought, well, there's my welcome to the neighborhood, right? Wrong. By the end of my first week, I'd racked up citations for excessive watering, my poor little patch of new sod work truck in driveway longer than 6 hours, and my favorite unapproved doormat color. I wish I was kidding. The mat was beige. Not neon green, not tie-dye, not blessed in curly script, just beige. During one of her surprise inspection visits, Karen dropped the first clue about her grand plan. "My niece is moving to town," she announced, like she was narrating a weather alert while her eyes scanned my 3-bedroom house. "She might need a temporary place to stay. You have plenty of space living here alone." I gave her my best polite smile, changed the subject, and made a mental note to never answer my door again. No way was I letting a stranger, especially Karen's relative, under my roof. I thought that was the end of it. But yesterday things got weird. I'm sitting at work trying to make it through another soul-sucking Zoom meeting when my Ring app buzzes a motion alert. I swipe it open and there's this young woman, mid-20s maybe, pounding on my door like she's collecting for the IRS. "Hello, no." "You're in there," she yells, voice so sharp I flinched and dropped my coffee. Later I realized it was the same voice from that charming voicemail. "Aunt Karen said you agreed to let me stay. I just need the door code," she barked at the door. When I didn't answer because, I was at work. She stormed off toward my neighbor Jim's house across the street. My camera caught every second. Jim, bless him, trying to explain I wasn't home. Melissa wasn't having it. He should have left me the code. Aunt Karen promised I could stay here. I'm not sleeping in my car. He can just send me the bill for wherever I end up. Then she stomped to her shiny BMW, out-of-state plates because of course, and peeled out of the neighborhood like she was late for a reality TV audition. So now I'm standing in my kitchen, mind spinning, and my doorbell rings again. And who's standing there clutching a manila envelope like it's the Magna Carta? Karen herself, smile glued on so hard I could see the strain. "Gregory," she says, dripping with honeyed fake sweetness. "I have this invoice for Melissa's accommodations. Since you failed to honor our arrangement, the HOA board has determined you're responsible for her hotel expenses. She shoves the paper at me like, here's your bill, enjoy your day. We expect payment within 48 hours to avoid further penalties. That was it, the straw. I didn't even bother with pleasantries anymore. Karen, there was never any arrangement. I never agreed to host your niece. Her whole face shifted. Sweetness gone, replaced by this icy glare. We discussed this already, she snapped. When I came by about your unapproved landscaping, you said, and I quote, that would be fine. The board has already reviewed this matter. Now, I'm not a hothead by nature, but there's something about someone lying straight to your face with total confidence that just boils your blood. I forced myself to stay calm. Then I'll need to see the minutes from that board meeting, and I'll be contacting the board president directly. Karen's face flushed red, and she spat, I am the board president, and you'll find the bylaws clearly state that verbal agreements with HOA officials are binding. Then she spun on her heel and stormed back across the cul-de-sac, her heels hammering out a Morse code message that said, don't mess with me. The moment she vanished, I grabbed my phone and pulled up my security app, scrolling through the past few weeks. My stomach did a backflip. There she was, Melissa, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, circling my house, peeking into windows, fiddling with the garage keypad. The last clip, she's at my key lock box, poking in random numbers like she's auditioning for Ocean's 11. This wasn't just entitlement, this was criminal. I'd had it. I called the non-emergency police line, laid out the whole saga, the fake hotel charge, the trespassing, the arrangement that never happened. The dispatcher listened and said an officer would follow up soon. While I was on a roll, I blasted off an email to every single HOA board member, detailed every step, attached screenshots of my security footage, even scanned the invoice Karen shoved at me. Within an hour, my inbox was blowing up. 3 board members responded in shock. None of them had heard a single word about any arrangement. Then my phone rang. Thomas Chen, the HOA treasurer, sounded exhausted. Greg, I'm so sorry. Karen's been pushing boundaries for months, but this is something else. We're calling an emergency board meeting tonight. Meanwhile, you should file a police report about the card fraud and attempted break-in. Next morning, I'm working from home and I spot red and blue lights outside. 2 officers at Karen's door. Through the window, I catch a glimpse Karen pacing and wild-eyed, waving her arms like she's directing traffic in Times Square. About 20 minutes later, the officers show up at my door. The female officer gets straight to it. Mr. Patterson, we've spoken with Mrs. Winters and her niece Melissa. Based on your evidence and their statements, we're moving forward with charges. My jaw dropped. Charges. What kind? She nodded, serious as a heart attack. Mrs. Winters claims it was a misunderstanding, but the credit card fraud is clear-cut. We also have security footage of Melissa trying to access your property. Both have been taken into custody. Mrs. Winters is being charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, impersonating an HOA official, and filing false documents. Melissa's facing attempted trespass, credit card fraud, and filing a false police report. A false police report, I blurted. The officer smirked. Yeah, apparently she tried to report you for housing discrimination this morning. Didn't go over well once we showed the sergeant your footage. By that afternoon, the HOA board held an emergency neighborhood meeting. Nearly everyone in Willow Creek showed up, the air buzzing with whispers. Thomas Chen stood at the podium, voice quivering with nerves and relief. Effective immediately, Karen Winters is removed from the HOA board and banned from serving in any official capacity. We've uncovered multiple instances where she acted without board approval, issued fake violations, and collected unauthorized fines. All recent citations will be reviewed and likely dismissed. You've never heard such a mix of gasps and laughter in your life. Some folks looked like they'd just seen a ghost. Others, like Jim across the street, were grinning ear to ear. As for Karen and Melissa, the fallout was swift and frankly spectacular. Karen got 18 months probation, a $5,000 fine for fraud, and 200 hours of community service. The judge, apparently no stranger to her management style, even commented that this wasn't her first HOA rodeo. She'd tried similar stunts in 2 other neighborhoods. Melissa wasn't so lucky. 6 months in county jail for fraud, 3 years probation, and had to repay every cent of the hotel charges plus damages. When the sentence was read, Melissa just broke down, sobbing so hard the judge had to pause. Karen. She stood there frozen, the trademark smugness, hollowed-out lips moving but no words coming out as the bailiff led her away. The last thing I heard was her muttering, "This is all a misunderstanding. Don't you know who I," before the doors shut her out for good. So let me ask, have you ever had a neighbor like that? Someone who thought the rules were just for everyone else? Or maybe you've dealt with a power-tripping HOA president who finally got what was coming? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And hey, if you think justice was served here, or you've got your own wild HOA tail smash, that like button, share this with a friend, and let's keep this conversation about what community really means going. You never know who's listening or watching from across the street.